This is the 4.2 intervention set. There are a couple of problems on the page here that you were supposed to solve and then bring in to correct. So let's go through these. This is multiplying and dividing fractions. This is what we were calling fraction logic in class. So the idea behind fraction logic is that you are looking at the expectation. Here it's saying when you multiply a third by a fraction, the product will always be less than a third. Is that true? When you multiply 1/3 times some other fraction, will you have less than 1/3? Well, here's how it works. If you multiply 1/3 by something less than 1 whole, you'll end up with less than 1/3. If you multiply 1/3 times a half, you'll get half of 1/3. If you multiply 1/3 times a fourth, you'll get a fourth of 1/3. So all those things will be less than a third. So we can prove that. Let's just take a half. If you multiply 1/3 by 1/2, you will get 1/6, and 1/6 is less than 1/3. If you had a third of something, let me just draw it down here. Here's a box, here's 3 parts, and you get one of those parts. You get this little bit right here. You get a third of it. Now, notice if we took roughly the same size original box, here's my original box again, and we divide it into thirds, and when we divide that and get a sixth, 1 part out of 6, that's less than 1 part out of 3. So multiply by less than a whole, and you will get, here's the original, here's the 1/3, here's the 1/6, and we can see that that's less. So how do we do an example? Let me just get rid of these for a minute. I'll put them away over here. How do we do an example that contradicts that? How do we do an example that makes that false? Those are still going to be in my way, aren't they? We'll stick them down there. Contradicts. To contradict something is to prove that it is false. What do we do to prove it false? Well, we kind of do the opposite. Now, I don't mean we divide. What I mean is we multiply it by something more than 1 whole. So let's take the reciprocal of 1/2, 2 over 1. If you multiply a third times 2, you're saying give me 2 groups of a third. Give me 2 thirds. If we go back to our original drawing, I knew I saved it for a reason. If we go back to this drawing and do it one more time, let's create one more drawing here. Here's one more of those. We'll divide them into thirds again. And this time, instead of getting 1/3, we're going to get 2/3. We can see we have more now. So if we want it to be a false statement, if we want more than the 1/3, we have to multiply by more than a whole. All right, so let's go down and do the bottom 2. And you could pick any number, by the way. If you picked 1/5 right here, please don't mark yours wrong because you didn't guess my 1/2. Any number less than 1 whole. Basically, any number where the numerator, the top number, is smaller than the bottom number. All right, on the second one, same idea. They're saying multiply 1/2. That was goofy. Multiply 1/2 times, we're having some technical issues, as you can see, but that's all right. Let's start again. Okay, here's the second problem. So, same idea. We're multiplying 1/2, and we want our answer to be less than a half. Well, then we need to take less than a half of it. So, if we multiplied 1/2 by 1/4, we would get 1/8. And 1/8 is less than 1/2. If we want more than 1/2 when we're done, we're going to multiply by something bigger than 1. Like 3 groups of 1/2. 3 groups of 1/2 is 3 halves. You know that's bigger. That's a number bigger than 1. A half is a number smaller than 1. So anytime we want to contradict, anytime we want to make the always less than statement false, we have to multiply by a number bigger than 1. If we want to support, if we want to make Ronnie look right, we have to take a number that's less than a whole. So that's your work for concept 4.2. Go ahead, make sure you bring these to class so you have the chance to get the intervention test taken, raise your grade, show what you know, and I'll see you in class.